Because you're my friend, I will talk about this with you on my page here. Johnny Miller met my uncle once, and he used that against me in a conversation years ago when I did speak to him privately about my family's opinions about how he conducts himself. Not that he impersonates, but how he conducts himself under my uncle's image. And he basically told me he has more of a right to dress that way and do what he's doing than I do because he actually met the man one time. Matter of fact, the way he worded it, after I told him our opinions, he said, "Let me remind you, young man, I actually met the colonel once." Thayer, I believed, was a genuinely good person, and I do still believe that he is to a degree. Thayer never met my uncle, but he very much looks up to him. He owns a lot of things that belong to my uncle. He dresses like him. He's an impersonator. He's a lookalike. He just wants to spread some cheerfulness. But he also kind of has a dark meaning behind it as well. He wants to be the only person out of all the impersonators that dress like him, in the sense that he says that my family endorses him. I had him nominated as a colonel for his work with children with disabilities, and I didn't know that he was going to take that and run with it as Colonel Sanders. Now, he calls himself Colonel L.A. Thayer. He doesn't call himself Colonel Sanders. He admits he's a lookalike, but he also goes around telling people he is the only impersonator that has a right to dress that way because he is the only one endorsed by the family. When I commissioned him, I didn't commission him, I nominated him. When I nominated him, he had me write him a letter word for word, and I was very young and naive at the time, so I wrote it word for word. In exchange, he sent me some KFC things. One of those is this adventurous little pin. And I like this little pin, but I don't like what he was doing. He caused some drama with the other impersonators, and that caused me to say something to him, to which he then blocked me for 5 years. And I thought he threw that letter away, but to my surprise, he was still using it and flaunting it around, using it against other impersonators, saying that my family endorsed him. And after we made up, after that spat, 5 years later, I told him he needed to remove that because it was no longer valid. We don't endorse any impersonators. So what he did was tell Johnny Miller, as much as I despise Johnny Miller, he told Johnny Miller that my family had an open lawsuit against him for impersonating our uncle, which led Johnny Miller to harass me with phone calls wondering if it was true or not. I told Thayer he needed to change what he said because that is inaccurate and wrong. I don't know if he ever did or not, but his response was blocking me, and it's been a year or two since then. But I still see him posting that letter on his Facebook page and posting about me being such a good friend to him when we have no contact anymore whatsoever. Campbell never met my uncle. He's a preacher from North Carolina, and he was told that he looked like Colonel Sanders one day when he was wearing a white suit to preach in. So he ran with that and decided to sport the goatee and mustache and the white suit and black tie and start calling himself the Colonel. Created a Facebook page called Colonel Sanders Lookalike or whatever, the Colonel Tim Campbell. I don't really remember or care about the page name, but I kept them as friends on my Facebook page as long as I could. He reached out to me to tell me that the other impersonators, I need to tell them that they're an embarrassment. They shouldn't be representing my uncle's image. To which I said, well, you're an embarrassment too, because my uncle wouldn't approve of you going around to every store, Walmart, every coffee shop, every Kentucky Fried Chicken, every Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, and calling yourself the Colonel and wanting to dress like him. Regardless of what your intentions are, you're an embarrassment too if I have to tell everyone else that they're an embarrassment. Then you see these men go into the lookalike contest shaking hands and stuff, so it's really confusing. I won't do that. I'll tell them to their face, they're clowns. I really don't like talking about it, though. I don't want to be remembered for talking about the drama, but it is my family legacy, and I don't want it tarnished by these men. Never would have said a thing about them if they didn't reach so hard to be put in the public eye in the news and in these events as Colonel Sanders or the best lookalike. But no, 2 of the 3 men did not meet the Colonel. One guy did, Miller, the one I have the biggest issue with. And again, as much as I dislike him, I did not appreciate Thayer lying to him to scare him from dressing like my uncle. So now I'm not in contact with any of them. Miller just followed me here on TikTok. I assume he's going to start making posts as Colonel Sanders to try to get attention. And because he's a fake dude, probably will get more attention than I do with my stories that I have to share. But he met him one time. I don't remember how or why, but he met him one time, and I guess that gives him the incentive to become him. I don't want to ruin these guys' lives. I don't want them to stop what they're doing in their lives, but I would like them to tone it down a bit with impersonating my uncle the way that they have been. I like them to tone it down with the outreach to the news companies to try to get them to put them on the spotlight as Colonel Sanders. I especially would like Miller to calm down and dressing like him going to every Kentucky Fried Chicken across Kentucky. They are, in my opinion, just attention seekers. I am friends with a handful of other impersonators. They just do it for Comic Cons, they do it for Halloween, just to have fun. They don't go around everywhere dressed like him. Yes, they wear the goatee. That's fine. I say bring this look back. But I don't have a problem with those people. They're just having fun, putting smiles on faces. I have another friend, William Wilkerson. Unfortunately, he's in a medical condition now where he'll never be able to impersonate my uncle again. But he went around to breast cancer awareness places to raise awareness and some money for breast cancer research. And I nominated him as a colonel because I believe he truly deserved it. He never calls himself Colonel Sanders. He does call himself the Colonel, but he's a very respectable man. He respects Uncle Harley's history. He respects the family. He's friends with almost everybody in the family. And he doesn't try to make money or get attention for it. He doesn't even reach out to news articles for them to put him in the news. So I want people to understand I don't got a problem with impersonators. There's some good ones out there, really good ones. Even if they look nothing like him, they're good intentioned, good hearted. There are three particular men I have an issue with. When it comes to Kentucky Fried Chicken ads, I don't have an issue with those people. I had an issue with the corporation officially representing the colonel in a bad light the way that they did. No longer hold anything against them for it. We made up on it. We talked about it. It's in the past. Yes, I think it's an embarrassment, but I'm not going to dwell on those. I will dwell on these men, but I don't want to dwell on them, if that makes sense. It gives them more attention than they deserve. But I'm starting to get tagged in more things about them. They're starting to show up more online, trying to do things that I do, and it's just embarrassing. And when we go back to Campbell, when I was doing things for Lee's Famous Recipe, you might remember that, he started commenting under Lee's post. He didn't even know Lee's existed. He started commenting under Lee's post. Can the colonel come and take some photos in your restaurants, in your lobbies? And I laugh at it because he was trying to do what I was doing and upholding my family legacy, bringing more attention to it. But he wanted to be the colonel, the old guy, in the lobbies of Lee's Famous Recipe because Kentucky Fried Chicken wasn't giving him attention, so maybe Lee's would. He traveled 4 hours to the nearest Lee's and their lobby was closed, so I laugh at him for that. All in all, in this 7-minute rant, they're just attention seekers. One of them met him one time, again, repeating myself. And I feel that the family, including myself, has the right to criticize them in any way, shape, or form possible, especially when they're trying to be in the public eye as my uncle. I believe we have the right to say what we want to say about them and criticize them the way we want to criticize them because we would know our family better than they would.